Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. More, hate less, read comics. It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Buzz, buzz, babies.
Hey, Buzz Buzz babies, I have missed all you wonderful nerds. Can you believe I didn't go live all week last week? I felt amazing actually, but it was not, the break was nice, I will admit, but it's weird. You don't realize how much you miss this shit till you don't do it for a whole week. And then and so I was very excited that this week we got a couple cool shows, and I'm so glad that you guys are tuning back in and didn't forget about me. Thank you so much for doing that. Anyways, without further ado, I have a very talented writer and artist on the show tonight. He's got some cool stuff out from Oni. You may have heard it. He wrote Pink Lemonade. He did the one I can't ever pronounce from Oni with Chris Condon. We'll get to that later, but I've got Nick Cagnetti in the house. What's up, baby? How are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here talking about all this stuff. I just got back from San Diego the other day, stayed longer out there just to relax a little bit, but it's good to be back.
Yeah, it's we were kind of talking about that in the green room. So you've got a couple comics out that everybody's talking about, and you got to go to the Oni booth at SDCC and sit behind the table and meet fans and sign and sell books. And like I mentioned, that's kind of a very good stepping stone in the realm of comics, I would think, right? Like on the way to rock stardom. And you kind of mentioned how it was exhausting, but it's the good kind of exhausting, right? Like, it's like a job well done exhausting.
Yeah, totally. Like, I mean, it's just really nice feeling too, just getting to meet all those people like that in such a situation where you're just like, everybody's coming up and picking up the books, and some people are being introduced to it that way and coming up and excited about it too. So it was really fun because, sometimes you're making these things in isolation for so long. It's hard to know if anybody will, find it at some point and or enjoy it. So, doing these shows like that, it's been really, really nice in that kind of regard, just getting to talk to people like that and hearing that everybody's been enjoying it.
Yeah, that's I've heard that several times. The same kind of goes for press sometimes too. Like when we write like reviews or cover stuff, or my deal is the videos, right? Like doing like YouTube shorts and TikTok shorts and stuff like that, and you're watching them, like just waiting. Is anybody gonna watch this damn thing? And it's just like, but I get that. It's you never know. You never really know your impact, and until people actually, like, especially at a con, when they come right up to you and tell you like, "Oh my God, this is awesome! I really enjoyed this," or buying some of your art and stuff like that. I was looking at your Instagram page, and you had some pictures up of your booths, and your art style is so like wonderfully chaotic and vibrant though, right? But I mean, like, I feel like you can spot your booth from fucking space, dude. Like, it's so bright and eye-catching, and it's just like I just feel like it naturally draws people in, which is speaking to your style and performance as an artist, so like, it's really impressive what you do. Like, and I can see like some Allred inspiration, but you also very much have your very own style, and what did that take you a while as an artist to kind of like find your voice and your style and your color palette and stuff like that?
I mean, I guess I was always just kind of like drawn to the kind of works that I, just kind of naturally gravitated towards, like your Mike Allreds and Darwin Cooks, artists like that, just for the ones that really like stuck with me. And I think just kind of naturally as you're trying to develop stuff as an artist, you try and emulate the things that are near and dear to you in your head. And I think things like those artists and Steve Rude, Steve Ditko, ones like that were probably always ones I was looking at just for inspiration, trying to develop things. And I think just as a natural way, it just sort of sits in your head and comes out in your own way eventually. Just got to keep playing at it. And I think that was a thing for me too with the colors. Early on, trying to color digitally, I was using like Photoshop back in the day on the computer with the little trackpad on the laptop, and it was really really tedious with it. But I was just always trying to make it look as like colorful as I could, and it took like a few years before I started getting things a little bit closer to what I was hoping to do. But then I moved to like doing more traditional stuff for a bit there, and really I enjoyed doing colors that way. Like that's how I did the early Pink Lemonade stuff. Was just all watercolor and acrylics,
Oh wow.
and yeah, those actually show up in the trade. Like when you first open it up, you see those things on the side pages. Those are those original
Yeah.
strips, and
Oh.
yeah, there's a lot of fun history there. But after I did those, I went straight to doing the full books and digital, totally digital. So uh, it was a great opportunity to try and really get the colors the way I wanted them to be, which was like as poppy and like pristine as I could get it. So it's always a journey for sure.
Yeah, I really commend you for just your style and your color, and especially with Pink Lemonade, like the story and the dialogue and just how it's just a wild experience that is a great celebration of like that poppy, pulpy, the wonder of what comic books really is. Like you embody all that and execute it wonderfully in Pink Lemonade. And then you go over, it was so funny, like, thinking about Pink Lemonade and then hopping over to Xeno,
Yeah, Xeno.
Xeno. And like, dude, there's a scene in that almost like turns your stomach when he's in the bathroom trying to like pull the virus chip thing out of him, and like, and his skin's bubbling up, and it was like, wow, like I did not after reading Pink Lemonade, I just didn't really expect really efficient body horror from you, right? And so it really, I mean, again, I just want, like, it's so you have like a wide range that like I really am excited to see you explore more in the future. I like, what can Nick not do? I don't know. I want to find out.
Well, doing that Xeno story was a lot of fun in that way for sure. Just because going off of a project for a while and having that sort of workflow going along, it's nice to break that up like most crazy degree possible with stuff like that. So I really enjoyed doing that story, and getting to stick lots of fun Easter eggs in there with like gaming little things like that. I think that's a thing that I just kind of naturally like to do too, just being a fan of lots of things. But that's one thing too that I'm just hoping to try and do, is just try and do as many different kinds of books as I can, just for keeping things fresh for myself, and trying to just I think that's a good way to help yourself keep growing. It's just to keep challenging yourself like that. And I'm excited because I'm already inking and coloring pages for the next book I'm doing. So I think that one's going to be pretty different too. So I'm excited about that.
Very cool. Yeah, you don't want to get too comfy, right? You want to be a little comfy. You don't want to be uncomfortable, right? But you don't want to get like too comfy and approach that like stale territory, right? Both in regards of your audience and yourself, right? Like, you want your own art to excite you. You want your own experiences, and when you kind of explore different realms and stuff, that keeps things, bright and vibrant, for you as a working artist as well. So I think that's an important mentality to have. I'm glad you have it. Because Nick, I don't know you that well, right? It's our first time chatting, but just after reading your comics, like I can safely say, like, I want you around this industry for a while, because it needs you. It needs art like yours. It needs quirky storytellers like you. It just you're coming in at a right time, doing some right things and bringing the right kind of vibes. And so, yeah, whatever you need to do to stay around, just you keep doing it, like, because it's you're good for the industry. And I'm like I said before, I'm just excited to see, like, what else you bring to the table, because I almost like, it's funny because when you guys drop these big hits and these big books that end up, like, taking off and people get really passionate and excited for, I've always wondered what that's like when you guys are sitting around thinking, like, oh shit, I got to follow this up with something now, like, what do I do next? And I'm sure that's slightly terrifying sometimes too, especially as an indie creator. But sounds like you already got something up your sleeve that you're working on, so that's very cool.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a thing that goes through your head at sometimes, for sure. But I think the thing that helps me is just knowing when, like, to when how long something should be, and like when to pivot to something else, just to keep things going like that for you. Because that was a tough thing that I've thought about a lot, just like as the books were coming out for Pink Lemonade and all that. It was like when people were finding out that, oh, it's only 6 issues long. They're like, only 6 issues? No, I want it to end already. But that's the hard thing for me, because doing the book mostly by myself just took since like 2019. I started those single issues and then finally wrapped up and came out through Oni just early this year. And it's hard because it's hard to maintain that quality. I think, like, you keep going and keep going and keep going if there's not a reason to, like, for the story and all that. Like, I try and have, like, set goal in mind for what I'm trying to do for that. And for Pink Lemonade, I feel like I was able to achieve that. So I think the natural thing for me is just going to the next thing that feels pertinent to tell. So yeah, and then the thing I'm doing next, actually, it has a pretty storied history in itself. I did some books in college with some friends. Like, that's how I got my start making comics, was just I did like a little superhero book with a friend, figuring out how to do things. And like one issue, it's just like total jump from another issue in terms of like what I was trying to do there. But I did a horror romance book with a friend back in the day. It was sort of like along the lines of like EC Comics, that kind of flavor to it. But we're sort of like revisiting those concepts, my friend and I, and that's sort of the thing that we're plugging away at the moment. Where for years we wanted to do more with that character, but there was never like the right thing that was clicking for us until like very recently. It was just like, wait a minute, we finally got the right in for us to return to that with like a fresh lens. So I'm excited about it.
Are you talking about the spirit of the shadows, or in the shadows?
That's it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I was kind of looking for that. It's sold out everywhere. I was like,
it's kind of like a hard thing to find at the moment. But the fun thing with the new version we're doing, you don't have to have read the original at all. It's not tied to it really at all. So it should be like a totally fresh new take on it. And that was kind of the exciting thing for us. It's just like, it's not anything like the original one we did. So I'm excited in that kind of regard too.
Very cool. Well, real quick, I want to say hi to some people real quick. We got Ronan coming from Australia. Well, thanks for missing me, buddy. I love you. We got Mr. Gareth. What's up? Thanks for tuning in, bud. Appreciate you. K-pop is in the house. What's up, K-pop? But yeah, it's that's super exciting. Now, when you're working on this new project with friends, like, is this going to be like are you going to like self-publish maybe, or are you going to pitch it to publishers? Like, are you like, Blake, let me finish the damn book first, man. I haven't even thought about that yet.
Hoping to pitch it to some places. I'm not really sure. It's really early for me to think about in that way. My goal at the moment is just really getting a decent chunk of it finished and like a state that's really cool and presentable to really wow some people.
Nice. Now you mentioned, you said you had Pink Lemonade all done before you pitched it, before like Oni picked it up.
It was about like 75% finished by the time Oni came around. I was working on the books for a while. It originally got picked up by a small press publisher called It's Alive after I finished the first issue back in 2019, and they published one and two, and then I left that publisher and just kept shopping it around as I kept working on it. And I finished like another issue or two, and I sort of just said like on social media one day, kind of like at the end of my rope, because I got some responses and some offers from some places that were, it was there. Some of them were kind of hard pills to swallow in some ways. So I just sort of said on social media one day, like, does anybody want to publish this? And an editor from Oni just reached out from there, and it took about like 10 months or so from there, like with negotiations and all that, and I just kept working
Mm.
on it. So then by the time that was done, I only had like an issue left to do. So it was, it kind of moves really fast too. That was one thing that just kind of new to me as a pretty fresh creator. Just like be seeing that side is just like the fastness of the publishing side is just, it's pretty fascinating.
That's funny because usually all you hear about is how slow comics take, right? Like from like signing to making to printing, and these usually like very sometimes very drawn out experiences. But I can also see like you being new to the game, right? And you're like the emails are coming in, and
Yeah.
you gotta sign stuff, and you have to have meetings, and then stuff like that. But does that kind of do you like that, like, or does it kind of stress you out, like coming from like an indie comics perspective where so many people self-publish or go crowdfunding, or whereas like working with a publisher and a bigger indie publisher like Oni, right? Like obviously I assume you're happy, but like does that kind of stuff stress you out, or are you like, no, like, make my comic, let's go, boom boom boom?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it because it was nice having like some backup, like a lot of people
Mm.
working just to get it out there, and that was a nice thing, like having an editor on the book. Like my editor Zach would have some nice suggestions to like punch up some of the dialogue in some places. So in my scripts I could get pretty wordy at times, and I think. The fun thing with comparing like the original number one and number two from the old publisher is some it has like just totally unfiltered dialogue for me, where the bubbles are like there's just a lot of words. So I think it was a like good calls like that were able to like just get it down to what it needed to be. And I think it helped me going forward for like just making sure like you know you got to get the essential information, just like when you're drawing, like you need to get the essential information, like every word has to be like the right one. So that was something that was a good thing to learn for sure.
Nice. Yeah, you don't want to cover up too much of your art. I like your humor, and I like the characters, right? But your art is so freaking gorgeous, and you put, like you said, you put a lot of Easter eggs and details, and so yeah, you don't want to cover all that up with word bubbles. That's, I mean, I could see how it's different, from creator side to audience side. But yeah, it's there's just so much on your pages, and it's so impressive. And when you get too wordy, when you get too much dialogue going, you got to put those bubbles somewhere, right? And that covers up all the hard details you're putting in that you want people to see. Uh, where did you come up with this? Like let's just get into Pink Lemonade, because I have so many questions. Like the heroine's title, her name, like I love Pink Lemonade, so I'm sold already. Like there's nothing better than a nice cold glass of wonderfully made pink lemonade on a hot or cold day. I could drink it anytime. But like the name, the characters, the bike that has a personality but never talks, like, and like all these things. So like how did this wild thing come to be in the mind of Nick Cagnetti? Like, what led to this?
Well, I was just finishing up drawing the original Spirit of the Shadows book, and I really just needed to do something on my own for like the first time, because that was a thing where I wasn't, I wasn't too confident in those abilities to, you know, tell a story completely on my own like that. So I tried that, like the comic strip format, and I felt like it was a really good way to ease myself into, writing and pacing out, finding the pacing for the story and like where it needed to go. And that was sort of like the initial thing for me, was just making comic strips and just doing it in that kind of way. Here's some of these right here, actually. Just I gotta get them out of this thing. These are some of the original Pink Lemonade strips right here. But
Oh wow.
yeah, I mean, I just wanted to do something on my own, and I just sort of tried figuring it out strip by strip where it would go, and sort of the whole thing was trying to, like, reconnect with why I enjoy comics in the first place, and just embody that in a character, and that was sort of the major thing for Pink Lemonade. And I think too, just I wanted to draw something that was like, challenging, because I had to do a character that was on a motorcycle in every shot, and it's a hard thing to draw. So force myself to get good at that. So that was another thing. But yeah, I mean, the color scheme and all that came pretty quick. Like I knew I wanted pink and yellow. Pink and yellow, Pink Lemonade. So like little things like the helmet, like it was a little bit of a thing to figure out, because I wanted like to see like some eyes there, but at first I just had like little regular eyes just coming through the helmet. I'm like, it just wasn't working. So I eventually started doing like some mock-ups of just like, different eyes on top of like the helmet and seeing what would work. And then eventually just like, wait a minute, we just a big lemon. That's what you need. So that was pretty much it. But I think like the initial inclination to do like a motorcycle thing was, I was watching like a really cool music video, and it had like this badass biker like wearing like all red and had like glowing eyes. And I think it was just like I want to do like a cool motorcycle character, and then it just became Pink Lemonade, and she's like cool in her own way, but it's just like the total opposite of that thing I watched. But yeah, that's pretty much, I think, like the gist of it right there.
Nice. Yeah, because she is a badass, but she's a different badass. Like she's the badass that, like, one of the reasons why I said, like, you're what comics needs right now, is I love the message of Pink Lemonade. She's just like, I'm just hanging out and vibing, guys. Like, I got all this money. I'm gonna buy $300 cards for kids. I'm just gonna hand out money like they're business cards, and very much like, be true to yourself. And she's like, I am who I am, and that's all I know how to be, and that's all I can be. And it's just like holy shit, man. Like, you forget sometimes when you need to hear that message, when you need to remember that. Me, even as a content creator, like, sometimes I get wrapped up in it, and I'm like, maybe I should do something like this channel does, or like, I don't have a very cool background like other people do, and like, will I ever be as successful on YouTube without a cool background with fancy lights going on? It's just like, you get caught up in your head over like this over superficial bullshit. And sometimes you just got to remember that, like, you're enough, like you are enough. Like, your personality is good enough to exist in this world, whether you think you are or not, and we all get caught up and bombarded with those kind of heavy thoughts. And that was one of the beautiful things about this book, on top of the action and the style, and just like the craziness of it all, it just has a very, very good message to any reader of really any age, like, was that, did, like, was that hard to kind of do? Like, because you don't want to, like, the way you did it was very organic, right? She's exploring herself, getting to know herself because she's got the memory issues and stuff, and coming to and meeting new people, and she's learning who she is by interacting with these new people, and then by getting screwed over by a big Hollywood director, basically, right? And then and so, but did you ever have to kind of like ease up on that, or like when you were trying to hammer home that theme, because you never went too hard, or you just like it was just enough, like nice and easy laid in with the plot, solid, very solid writing. And but I could see, like, when you try and explore that realm of positivity and mental positivity and self-image and stuff, like, it could sometimes maybe, like, you could maybe get overbearing with it, or like you're hammering us over the head with it as readers, which you never did. Did that come naturally to you, or did you kind of have to, was that like a structure, pacing, something you had to work around?
I think the sort of the natural entry point for me going into the whole thing with, like, in regards to that, was just sort of, the whole idea of Pink Lemonade sort of has this blank slate. She's a blank slate, but the thing for me, the big hook with Nat is that she's got that childlike sort of sense of wonder for everything, like being a blank slate. As a kid, you have that sort of sense of joy and positivity and optimism. Anything's possible, and that feeling of discovering things for the first time like that. And I think that was the big guiding point for me with the character, is just sort of that unadulterated sense of just joy and discovering things, and just seeing, like, when something's wrong, it's just like, just totally clear as day, like, this is wrong, why are we doing things this way, instead of just like it's just sort of like how I think, like, kids have, like, pure view on things in that kind of way, and just trying to reconnect.
Yeah, before life beats it out of you and rips it from your soul.
Exactly. And so, like, that was the important thing for Pink Lemonade's whole journey, is just trying to hold on to that, and not lose sight of who she is. And that's, I think that's a thing that, for me, like, working on the whole thing, I was trying to grapple with too, just trying to hold on to that joy. And I think that's sort of the thing that I try and put into all my art, is just trying to find that joy and all the stuff I'm doing there. So yeah, that's a big thing for sure. And I mean, just being a fan of all this stuff for ever since I can remember. And it's really cool seeing all this stuff blowing up and, like, getting all over the place, and with characters we love and all that. But I think sometimes it's sometimes the focus, like, where the characters come from, the people who worked on them, can get lost in the shuffle, and not given their due as much as they should be, in terms of, like, places taking advantage of them and all that. So, and that's another thing that just sort of is a thing to grapple with for me, for sure. And it's something that I think shouldn't be as forgotten as it feels sometimes.
Dude, I agree so much with what you're saying right now. And one of I made that joke about how life takes it from us, right? Like that innocence, that joy. And that was another thing I really loved about Pink Lemonade, is you go out of your way as a creator to try and, like, take that joy and innocence from her, and she refuses to let that happen. I mean, you refuse. It's all your thing, but it's you throw some heavy stones in her direction, and
really
like,
throw a building on her.
And I love that. I love her tenacity and resilience, and just, like, won't let life break her down. Even there's even, like, a couple parts where the movie director, when he basically, like, you know, she signs that contract unknowingly, and like he's like, oh yeah, it won't matter. And then they take that contract and steal her likeness, and they, you know, they bring in like this new pink lemonade who doesn't have a scar and has like a better ass, and you know, and it's just like she's sexier and wears, you know, some more revealing clothing. And even when like they show up to like the art gallery and she's like, well, I thought we were friends, and I'm sitting there like, no, you weren't friends. Like you're too nice. You're too... But I just, it was such a joy. Like every panel was just an absolute joy to read, man. And like, you know, I read a lot of comic books. I'm on a lot of press lists, and you know, I do a lot of these shows. I interview a lot of creators, and I have to read a lot of books because of that. And I even do like PR work and have like clients and stuff now. And so like, you know, it's rare. It's rare when like every moment lifts you up in a way you wouldn't expect, right? And like I said earlier, it's just every moment in Pink Lemonade, every page, every panel, every freaking pixel is just a reminder of like the great things comics can accomplish. When you, and I feel like it's a reminder of the great, both that and the great things comics can accomplish when you like stay out of the creator's way. And like like you mentioned, an editor helped you condense some writing, you know, and stuff like that. And so, you know, but you know, I could see like I could see some people trying to dissuade you over some decisions you might have made, right? And you know, just to kind of like what might sell well and what's marketable, and to kind of like go into the evil side of your, you know, this evil Hollywood marketing element that you have in this comic. And you know, whether they did or didn't, I hope they didn't, but you know, I feel like, you know, you had a vision and an idea, and I feel like you stuck with it, and you stuck to your guns, and you carried it for 6 issues, right, to the finish line. And I think that's why the end result is as strong as it is, right? Because it's, you know, you stuck with your gut, you know, that you stuck with your impulses, and you know, and I think you did the right thing.
I appreciate it. I mean, yeah, I was really proud of the whole thing because I was able to do darn pretty much everything I wanted to and more. Like even early on, when like a thing that was in my head before, like I even had like a structure or a script for this whole thing, was like I knew I wanted this big emotional crescendo of like the OJ bot stuff at like the big peak of it all. And you know, as I started like going through it more, I realized like I needed like these crazy things involved in it, with like the switching up the styles just to speak to like the different, you know, the different ways that these characters get adapted over decades and decades and reinterpreted and stuff. And it hit me that like I needed to do these things to like, you know, put like 3D models in there and stuff to just like hit home that message. So like I even got to do those kinds of things. It's like they took longer than like that stuff took the longest out of anything, but it was worth it in the end because it was able to drive home that message more. And one fun thing too was just like, you know, I was stewing along with this all in my head for a long time, and you know, there was a lot of concepts and ideas in there that I was hoping to just put in things at some point. But uh, you know, I was doing books with friends, and I was texting one of them. I said like, "Oh boy," and I accidentally wrote OJ bot, and that was sort of like the birth of the OJ.
No way.
It was. And then like immediately after that, in the book I was doing, I just stuck like a little OJ bot billboard in something. I'm like, kept pushing for OJ bot. I'm like, we need more OJ bot in this. Trust me. I couldn't get it. So like the fun thing for me was just like getting to take all these ideas I had sort of like sitting in my head for a while and just get to really explore them. And man, that was sort of the thing. Like even a goofy idea like OJ bot, the more like I thought about it, you know, you can describe like anything, like no matter how goofy it might seem, like you can give those things meaning. Like if you have like a thing that it's connecting with for you, you can explore that for sure. So that was sort of the thing for me with like OJ bot coming out of a spelling error. Just like the more you sit with it, the more you think about it and make connections. Anything can kind of find a place at some point.
Serendipity is a beautiful thing. That's so cool. I love that because that was another thing I was going to ask how OJ Bot came to be. Did not expect it to come from a typo. So that's very cool. What's up, Jay? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you, Jay. He posted that we were talking about being positive, being true to yourself, and yes, it's a very this book is full of that. And if you need a great comic to just like absolutely enjoy reading and fill you up with joy and quench your thirst, if you will. Actually, like pink lemonade doesn't, because lemonade makes you like more thirstier, especially if it's like hot, but it's still delicious. But if you need to quench your thirst, pink lemonade is the way to go. What's up, John? Part-time Comics, how you doing? So I have a question about one of my other favorite characters of this book, and I part of it's just his name, Mr. Ron Radical. Is I you mentioned like a love for video games, and you got to explore that in Xeno. Is he like a himbo, lovable Duke Nukem? It's like it was like Duke Nukem any kind of like slight archetype, or is he based on something else entirely?
I'd say it was more just on like the archetype of like your cable type characters from just any 90s character can do, including Duke Nukem, but like the things like the mullet I had on my head at the time, things like Alistair Smythe's mullet from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, or Captain Planet's mullet, just an amalgamation of like anything like that, and just trying to get something that spoke to those tropes of the decade. And because lots of early back issues that I would be picking up at the comic shop would be just like any random 90s issue, and just lots of 90s Clone Saga Spider-Man books, and just like this never ending sort of opera of big like muscular rendered dudes just like yelling at each other for page after page. It's just like that sort of thing always was fun to me too. Like I love like kind of the opposite spectrum of comic book art, but I also love that part of it too. So it was just kind of trying to blend the two together and try and make them coexist. And that was sort of the fun thing. The idea for that in the book was just trying to make them coexist. And one other big thing too was just having another character that was sort of going through the things that Pink Lemonade was going through, and sort of getting taken advantage of by the entertainment system and spat out. It was several generations of that with the OJ Bot and the Ron Radical and the Pink Lemonade. So that was a big thing there.
There was a huge moment that like I'm an emotional guy. Like I am notorious. Like I will openly admit, like a lot of comics make me cry. I used to make fun of my dad because my dad used to be a bartender, right? And he used to be like, he used to drink too, and he doesn't drink anymore. But my dad used to be fucking wild, dude. Like he had crazy stories, and then he does. And then as he got older, and he left the bar industry, and then like. He had heart surgery, right? And after his heart surgery, he cried a lot. And even like our friends and family noticed it, like he gets real emotional about animals and stuff like that. And it was kind of weird. And I haven't had heart surgery. I probably will one day because the genetics in my family are god awful. But anyway, I'm very much the same way, right? Like when I see like Dodo videos on TikTok and YouTube, like when they rescue the pit bulls and stuff, and they like find dogs on the side, like I cry, man. And you hit me in the guts so hard with this one scene, because it starts off with Ron, and the whole deal starts off with Pink Lemonade chasing after this balloon, right? And she's chasing this balloon on her bike, gets the balloon, gives it back to her kid. We find out like Ron took the balloon. Ron's telling this kid, he's like, giving this kid this life lesson, like you got to let the balloons go, kid. Like it's just like he's giving him this lowdown, and he's like, you grow the fuck up, basically, and then she gives him the balloon back, and he's like, what do you do? And he's like, he's very crass and abrupt and coming off like a little mean, right? And then later, as we get to know him more, as he gets away from the evil Hollywood people and starts exploring art, right? And when they go to that free art or that free day short, oh my god, dude, the end of that, when they're all drawing and they're like, what did you draw, Ron? And he drew the picture with him and the kid with the balloon. Dude, I was like, oh my god, like that hit so hard. It was unbelievable how impactful that was. And it was just something so silly and sweet and innocent. But because of your structure and your storytelling and pacing and when to put that little bonus bit in at the end of the issue, right? Like it's just very, very intelligent writing from you both. Like it's kind of aggravating, dude. Like as a writer myself, it's like I can't draw for shit. I wish I could, but it's like when seeing you guys do these big projects where like, yeah, you have an editor and a letterer, but you're writing, you're coloring, and you're plotting, and you're scripting, and doing all this stuff, man. And when you execute it so wonderfully, it's kind of not fair to everybody else. So I hope you feel guilty about it.
I appreciate it. Though. I really appreciate you saying all that. That little 4-page backup story in number 2, that came about from the previous publisher. It's Alive. They told me one day when I was working on number 2 that Don Simpson really enjoyed the book and the character and wanted to work on something, and they asked if I wanted to come up with something. So on the spot, I'm just like, I gotta come up with a little something. So I whipped up that story in a few hours there, and it was just a nice moment I wasn't really planning on, because it really allowed me to take that single issue full circle in that respect, and pay that stuff off in the beginning. And it was a nice thing that happened. I wasn't really expecting to. So and that's sort of a goal for me with all the single issues, was just trying to make them complete in their own regard too. So uh, yeah, that's always something I'm thinking about, because people can buy, like, there's so many comics out there, and if they're picking up mine, I want them to be getting a full story, but also pushing it forward too. So that was something that's always on my mind with that series, was just trying to figure that out and plan for that as best I could. So yeah.
Well, you nailed it, dude. You nailed it. And like I said, so many moments. There's a lot of moments that was probably one of my favorite, like, emotional hitting moments. But like there's a lot of really, really strong beats in this, and it's. I mean, I can't think of anything else that really resembles it on shelves right now. Like, yeah, you take a lot of inspiration from a lot of media and a lot of things of our youth, right? But the way you implement them into your story and execute them on the page, like there's not a lot of that in comic books right now that I have seen. And it's so fresh, right? And it's even the title, right? Like I love the title. Like I remember like hearing about it when, like, first hearing, like when people were like, oh yeah, pink, like, have you guys checked out Pink Lemonade? And I was like, what? Like there's a comic called Pink Lemonade, and then you're like, what's it about? And they're like, oh, you just got to read it. It is, because it's kind of hard to pitch, right? And it's like, because there's so much going on. But you've probably perfected that, right? Because you've been traveling and doing con season. So like, what do you tell people? Someone walks by your table, they see all this art, they see these books, they're like, oh my god, what's Pink Lemonade about, Nick? What do you tell them?
Oh man, it changes a lot. It's something that you're constantly working at, trying to figure out what you're saying. I feel like every show I got like a slight variation on it, but I say stuff sort of like, it's looking at our relationship with the entertainment around us and seeing if we engage with it enough in some respects. And but it's really just about this lady named Pink Lemonade who's just going around on her bike trying to see new things, do cool stuff, and just be herself. But like the entertainment world has other plans for her as it like tries to take advantage of her identity and her good nature, she's got to like rise above all that. And that's like I think that's like what I basically keep saying more recently anymore. I've had to do like some videos for social media for like Oni Press had me record one, and I had to do one for a comic store in New York, Pulp 716. So had to like pitch it for
Oh,
like
nice.
30,
Those guys are
30
awesome.
seconds. Yeah, and it's just it took me like a few tries to like get it because it's just like you gotta remember what you're saying, not stutter and get it good. So that's surprisingly like one of the hardest things.
Well, how is that for you, right? Because you mentioned like you like doing these shows because it's nice. It's nice to know you're impacting your audience, right? It's nice to know that people are experiencing your comic and getting the feelings from them that you were putting into them. But like, as being kind of new to the press circuit anyway, right? When you have a popular book from a bigger publisher and you're doing all these cons and you're doing all these interviews and stuff and talking to weirdos like me a lot, like did are you getting like, are you comfortable doing that, or like, are you kind of like, actually I wish I didn't have to do that, like, because I know some people just get uncomfortable talking about yourself, you're talking about your brand, talking about something you made and making it sound exciting and like, yeah, you should buy it, like some people just aren't necessarily like geared in that direction, especially like creatives, because like you mentioned, a lot of us, we do things that we it's a solitary endeavor, right? Like it's not all of us are the Starbucks artists, whereas like I can only write if like I'm at a fancy coffee shop with my MacBook and people see me write. It's like a lot of us write in the dark and silence because like I
Yeah,
can't write with music playing and stuff, right? It's just like my own breathing and inner turmoil coming out through my fingertips. But like,
yeah.
I know you've been on like a couple of friend shows and stuff, and so you've been doing a lot of these podcasts. Like, do you like that part of this comic book endeavor, or, like is it different doing a bunch of press and stuff?
I enjoy it because you're talking about stuff that you know what you're talking about. Like I know my book, I'm excited about my book. So I mean, it's nice. It's not daunting because you don't have like any scripts to like memorize or anything. You're
Yeah,
just going with it. Yeah, I like doing it. It's fun.
nice. Well, you're fun to talk to, so that's good. Like I've been enjoying chatting with you. I do want to know, as we've hinted at throughout the conversation, that a lot there's this darker side to Pink Lemonade, right? Is this like this Hollywood esque contamination, this dark aspect of marketability and of like what people want, what sells action figures, what and there's very much the OJ bot, like the I loved the OJ bot reboot, right? It was like this darker, meaner, slimmer, a little more menacing looking OJ bot for a big Hollywood production. And we've seen this. We've seen this in I mean, look at the original designs of like Batman compared to now, right? Or like look at Ben Affleck's Batman compared to like Batman 3 or Batman Forever, right? Or Batman and Robin, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, like those films, like I love people talk crap on them, but like I mean those are like iconic to my youth, right? So like
I
I don't care
enjoy
how
them.
bad they are and how ridiculous bat nipples are, like I love them and I'm glad
Yeah,
that they're there. But they celebrated that animated quirkiness, that pulpiness that a lot of us grew up with before everything went like dark and gritty and very much like Ben Affleck's Batman, or like that one director's DC universe that we're all scared to talk about because they come out from the corners and invade you. But like what was something that prompted you to like talk about that? Did like Hollywood ruin something for you, or like was there like a reboot or something that just like took your inner child and curb stomped him? Like what led this critique?
I mean, I think it's just always been like a kind of thing that coming out of high school, there was that Superman movie that came out at the time. The one, uh, the Man of Steel, that one.
Yeah.
Uh, my friend and I were like, why is all this destruction happening, all this brooding? Like it's fine if you can do that, but it's just like everything starts going in that direction, and it's like this is the
Mm-hmm.
template now. We have to follow this, and there's no room for anything else. I kind of am hesitant to like go along those lines because like there's a lot of joy in this stuff, and you like can lose sight of that by like taking it too seriously or I
Yeah.
mean I take it seriously, but like there's what am I trying to say here? I take it seriously because I care about this stuff, and like to me it's comics and stories and fiction. Like I look to the scene of Spider-Man lifting the rubble off his head many times as a kid, just like for inspiration to keep going sometimes. And like that's like the thing for me when I'm saying like I take it seriously. That's what it means. Like fiction can be like powerful and like really inspire you in some ways. And like that's the kind of thing that I think to for like superheroes and stuff should there's good stuff you can do there. So like coming out of high school, my friend and I made a superhero book that was just kind of like light slice of life, kind of goofy book where it was just a guy trying to figure out how to do things in a big city with lots of big heroes, and he was just kind of this amateur. So I don't know. It's just sort of always been something on my mind, I guess. You just sort of see the trends and how things are going. And I love comic books, and that's just sort of always been the thing for me.
So if anyone ever comes up to you and they're like Nick, we want to put Pink Lemonade on the big screen. Are you like drop kick them and run in the opposite direction? You're like never.
Man, you just gotta stay true to it. That's like the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's about you just gotta stay true to what all this stuff is, and I mean that's the thing that can happen sometimes. Is like they gotta like change the mold to make it like more palatable in some ways for like
Mm.
adaptations and all that. But I mean, I feel like the key is just to like stay true to things as much as you can, and just be honest with it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, that's a great way to live life. If like being honest with others is hard enough, right? And then, like, but being honest with yourself is often an even more impossible endeavor sometimes, right? Because denial is wonderful. Like the phrase "blissfully ignorant" there's a reason why that we know that phrase, because it's nice sometimes, right? But to be truly cognizant of like who we are as a person, and that kind of self-awareness I think a superpower, right? That so many people don't have. Oh my God. I've met like wonderful people that just like, I worked in a bar for a long time as a bouncer, and it's just like, like there were some waitresses and bartenders and people that I met, and it's like, I love hanging out with you, but like they have no self-awareness, right? They have like no recollection or idea of like how they impact others, like when you work together and things like that. And so it's, it's a trait that I've found even outside of the restaurant industry, like a lot of people lack. And again, that was another reason why I connected so hard with this, because it was just like how much I appreciated her, and just like knowing who she is all the time, and never compensating, and never like going off path, and never compromising. And usually when you see something like that, and it's like never compromise, and it's like very intense, and like they don't have like the personality that Pink Lemonade has, right? That those soft edges, those careful demeanors, that childlike innocence, like that doesn't usually come across in those archetypes, which I thought was a really cool way that like that it's for you to make her do that. And then the big tough guy is he was compromising. He did kind of lose himself and have to find. So I thought that juxtaposition was really cool. And so yeah, just pretty much like Pink Lemonade's like a perfect book, ladies and gentlemen. You all need to get it. Like the trade is out. You can go buy it. You can have your shop order it. You can get it off that one big website that a lot of people get mad when we buy stuff on. I think you can get it from Oni. Oni has a shop too, I believe. You can get Nick Mate. Do you have like a shop or anything? You selling signed copies or anything? Can we get you some money directly?
I have a website. It's called radicalrealmcomics.com. It's got a link to like
Ooh.
pretty much all the books out there. It's got like a direct link to the Oni shop for Pink Lemonade
Nice.
trade and stuff like that. I got to add some new stuff on there because I got like some coloring books and a few shirts left from the summer conventions here that I could put up on there too pretty soon.
You have a Pink Lemonade coloring book?
Yeah,
or just like a general art of yours coloring book?
Just for the summer shows here, it had a little coloring book.
Wow.
It has some pages from the books in there, but also some original things too. Just like there's some of my favorite guys right there, Skipper OK and Bob Wan the dog. But yeah, it's got a lot of stuff in there. There's Ron Radical.
Awesome. That's rad. Did I see, does that say 20 pages of fun on the cover?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
That's, you get it, dude. Like you just get it. I love your vibe, man. It's like, more comics need to do this. Like I love big two. I love brooding superheroes. I love the big action. But I don't know, man. Like I said, like this was just so fresh and invigorating and a nice palate cleanser from like a lot of the stuff I've been reading lately. And it was just like, this is like an eye-opening experience, right? It's a reminder of like how awesome comic books can be. And now you can get like 160 pages of fun if you guys go pick up the trade. And if you want slightly less pages of a different kind of fun that also kind of turns and twists your stomach, you can also check out Xeno, which you did with one of my favorite writers, Chris Condon, I've interviewed him before. He's been on the show. How did that pairing happen? Did Oni put you guys together, or did you guys meet each other? And I was kind of curious about that.
The way that all started was they told me that they were putting together that anthology book, and they wanted me to do a story in there. But I wasn't sure if I wanted to like write something, like, because I was literally still finishing up Pink Lemonade at the time, so I didn't know. I didn't think I had anything in me at the moment. It was hard to switch my brain up like that. So they told me that Chris he wanted to work with me on that because he enjoyed Pink Lemonade. So that answered that instantly for me right there, because I love Chris's work too. And it was really cool because like he put in stuff like the big gaming room with just like tons and tons, like every video game console ever on there. It's just like, I feel like that was there because of like the OJ bot room and Pink Lemonade. Like do a room full of fun things.
And the Virtual Boy, the like forgotten stepson of Nintendo, like right in front center on the main table.
I think in the print version, the top gets a little cut off, but because on the very top, I put in like a Nokia N-Gage too. That was the one that
wow.
like. I played an N-Gage like once at a GameStop like in 2005 because they had the Spider-Man 2 on the N-Gage, and I'm like, I gotta try this out. So they had like a little faux 3D swinging segment on the little tiny phone like that, and I'm like, I gotta see how this feels on a phone. And that was fun.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember when I was in grade school, my buddy, this kid Joey Wagner, his parents got him a Virtual Boy for his birthday, and so like all of us, like that was our, like when we were kids, like we all had like these big sleepover pizza parties, and like, and so like all of us were like fighting over like who gets to play Virtual Boy next. And I remember a couple of the kids like couldn't do it because it was like giving them like headaches and making their stomach hurt and stuff. And they're like, video games aren't supposed to make you sick. It's just like, and I remember like at the time, right? Like none of us ever experienced any kind of like virtual reality or anything, and nothing like what they have now, right? But it was just like, walking down those and it was all red. Like the all red deal was just so weird, and like pressing, like we're all pressing our faces up to this thing, and then like and as each of us use it, and it's wet from like all of our sweat, and it's just like we're all just like, and it like has like that slight like your stickiness to you when you move your face away. What a magical time to be alive. But no, so anyways, I just died laughing when that was like sitting like right there, front and center. I was like, God, I like this guy.
In a way, the Virtual Boy is like a precursor to the chip, since it was like actively hurting you while you're working.
Yeah, nothing that we had to like rip our veins out of our body. What was your was that kind of like in the script, like the bloody ending? Like did Chris kind of like, did he kind of like direct you in that, or was he kind of like, I kind of want this to happen but like make it look cool? Like, what was that, like a collaborative effort, or did you just kind of, were you like, I'm going off the rails here, Chris, and this is going to be nuts in the end? Like,
Chris's script was very descriptive with like everything, so
nice.
it made it very, it made it very easy to like imagine that and getting that, in my head there for drawing it. So yeah, nice like having something so just visual like already on the page with the words. So it made it very, very easy to work on. So one fun thing I got to do was I like having as many double page spreads and things as I can get. So I was able to shift a few pages into a double page spread. And I think it worked out well because it was like a big car chase scene, and try and take advantage of the length of the 2 pages for those kinds of bits, and really like play with the, going from left to right as wide as you can. So that was probably the thing I'm probably most proud of on that, was just getting to do a big wide car chase actually.
Yeah, I noticed you seem to like to do that, because Pink Lemonade has a lot of those instances too. And it's like, I like that you don't waste a double page splash either, right? Like you do some cool stuff with layouts, and you'll use like bigger bombastic images, right? But you have other panels, and you're very good at like navigating us, like weaving us through these big spreads. I mean, even in your single pages, like your layout work is just really awesome. But like is that kind of like your vibe? Like are we gonna is that gonna be kind of what we see? Like your style is one thing, and like the brightness is another, but this kind of unique, these big double page spreads, like I almost want you to do one that's like all spreads, just like one title page and then double splashes like all the way, like, because you get to play around a lot, you get so much more room too, and you're very cognizant and knowledgeable of space. I feel like I don't feel like you've ever wasted space in your life. Yeah, like on a page, right? Maybe you're a terrible person in real life. I don't know. You don't seem like one, but you're very knowledgeable and like proportions and guiding us, and a lot of things that like we see from like seasoned veterans. But with you coming into the public eye, like you've been doing this a while, right? But like with Pink Lemonade being your kind of first big book, and then following that up with the short and Xeno, like it's you come off as like just highly proficient. Like because I kept thinking that while reading. I was like, where the fuck did this guy come from? Like it's like you're just nailing it. You're batting 1,000. It's all bangers, no slips, and it's like damn, man. But yeah, with like I can't talk. Does that make you more comfortable when you have that kind of extra space? Do you kind of like, is it more freeing for you?
I don't know, cause like I mean, I try to plan everything out, best I can. The way I do everything is, work out the thumbnails, make sure they all flow good. That's one thing that works for my process is just trying to track it by like where the bubbles are gonna go. Like have like
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, like all laid out throughout the art, and just so you know, and that sort of guides like the flow of the structure and how it's going to be read. So uh, yeah, I mean, I try and be aware of as I was writing like Pink Lemonade and all that, not wasting a page, not wasting anything, and making sure every page was advancing the story forward or having something new revealed for people to because everything needs to be like in service of like pushing that forward. So like, even when you're working on like a big double page spread, try to make sure that like the page on the left had something being said, or the page on the right had something being shown to you, or and then even just having like those layouts, playing with the layouts and the double page spreads, just really trying to make those moments stand out. Like if there's like something that needs to be emphasized more, uh you can bring those out, and that's a good way to kind of utilize those. I feel like.
Nice. Our buddy Matt Harding says, "Don't get jealous," but he drew his top secret new characters in my sketchbook at SDCC. Well, I am jealous, Matt, because Nick said he's working on something new, which always seems to happen on my show. Yeah, I get you guys like in between announcements where we're talking about one book, and then it's like, well, I'm working on this new thing, but I can't talk about it yet. And it's not just my show. You guys do that for everybody, but that's just kind of how it is. Like, it's like a time release capsule, right? Like it can, strategic moments of revelations in the comic book industry. But just knowing that you got something new on the horizon is enough for me to stay excited about, because that's the one thing that I've seen happen in this industry, and it's a bummer, whether even self-publishing, like people have a big campaign on Kickstarter or something, or have a big first arc in a creator-owned book that gets picked up, and then like maybe the publisher doesn't want to do volume 2, or or something happens, and an unwanted and unwarranted silence like falls over the property, and it's just like that's one of the scary parts of this industry, and one of the scary parts of indie comics is that unknown. So yeah, just knowing that you got stuff in the works, and that we're going to get more Nick Cagnetti in the future, like that's good enough for me, and enough for my audience to keep our thirst quenched, and wait for that new stuff. But yeah, it's I am jealous of this sketchbook though, because I can't even imagine who's in that sketchbook on top of you, just from all the cons Matt's been to. I want to do SDCC so bad. Like, someone told me with the PR stuff I'm doing now that I should be able to get a pro badge, and I was like, well, cool, that's great, but it's like I live in Kansas City, so like, flying from Missouri to SDCC, and then either finding someone whose couch I can crash on for a few days, or like somehow finding a hotel room, and then like living and eating for it's that aspect of it is like, I need to plan more for that, because I'm this,
Yeah.
like, I did my first con this year as press, and it was amazing, and it was that same deal of like, I was exhausted, but like wanted to do it again the next day, right? It was like, and then I missed it after it was over, and so all I've wanted since then is to like travel and do more cons, and then like do the little 10-minute con interviews and meet people, and spend way too much money on books and sketches and remarks and all. Like, it was a blast, man. And I can't even imagine what it's like on the other side of the table, right? Like, like just sitting there and getting to meet all these new people, and people you look up to in the industry, and all that, right? Like, I imagine that's a very very rewarding experience, and I'm really glad you got to experience that with this con season. Because, and I'm glad like Oni's like putting you out there too, and having you do that stuff. Because like I said, it's I more people need to read this book. A lot of people are talking about it, but not enough people are talking about it. I feel like like more this pick up this trade, like like put Nick on your radar. Do it. that's just my opinion. I mean, what do I know? I'm just but yeah, man, it's been so great to like talk to you about this and to read your work and get to know you. And I'm just I'm just stoked. What, man, I should have sent Matt was gonna have me send my resume to him a while back when Oni was hiring and things happened. And is that a hardcover?
Yeah, that's the one they had at San Diego. They had me signing these for the duration of the show, which it was a lot of fun. I brought out the pink Sharpies for them.
Nice. Now, are all the trades in hardcover, or was that just a special SDCC thing?
That was just a special San Diego thing
Okay.
right there. I don't know if they
Okay.
have like any extras they'll do anything with. I'm not privy to that, but it was a lot of fun being able to be there for that for sure. And I'm I'm all energized up like after the whole experience. I'm like I said, I'm already inking and coloring pages of the next book, and I didn't think I'd be like working on this stuff like so soon. But it's exciting. I think people will be pleasantly surprised because it's kind of gonna be like a horror book, but I think it'll be like a horror book
Ooh.
like you never like haven't seen in quite a while. So it'll be like more like a spooky, fun kind of romp.
Okay. And now, are you writing this too, or are
Yeah.
you working with someone?
No, I'm working with my friend Daniel Ziegler on it.
Oh,
He,
that's
he,
right. You
he-
guys did the shadow.
yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
yeah. This is
Nice.
but this one is probably the most involved I've been with like Spirit of the Shadow stuff because Daniel wrote the original pretty much, squarely on his own and said like let's do this because and he wrote it like as a film script too. But this one we were like batting around ideas for a while, and we're like, I'm like, what if we put this element in here? And then he's like, wait a minute, yeah, that opens up these things for this to happen. So it's been like a good collaboration from like day one on this. So it's been like I draw up like random characters and it's just like let's do something with this. And he's like, yeah, I can figure out a spot for that. So it's been a lot of fun.
You've already got people going off in the chat getting excited about the horror spooky element. That I love horror all like so much, and it's I love horror in comics too. But everybody does, right? It's so we seem sometimes to be like oversaturated with it, and so you got to really sometimes it's a struggle to stand out in the crowd, right? And luckily, like with your art and this kind of being maybe like an offbeat horror title, like it sounds like you guys are already like paving the way to do that. Like like you said, it's not going to be like a typical horror title. It's not going to be like what we're used to. So that's it. You got me excited, Nick. Like I'll pre-order the thing when it happens, when I can. Like I'll keep an eye out for it. So you got one out of me at least.
Cool. Yeah,
Now now Nick. Oh, sorry.
I'll just be posting sneak peeks whenever I can on social media. I like keeping people involved that way.
Nice. Well, yeah, I'll definitely keep a lookout for it. Now, I know I've kept you for over an hour. I usually try and keep these to an hour. It never works because, as you can probably tell, I like to talk and won't shut up. But it's seriously, dude, it's been such a pleasure getting to talk to you. Even more of a pleasure getting to read your work. Honestly, dude, like it moved me in a way that I did not think it would, like especially reading that first issue. Like I was into it and it was fun, but it just like the more and more I got to know those characters and how they interact with each other and how they strive to remain positive when the world doesn't want them to be. Really, really connected with that, because a lot of my brand is being a positive voice in comics, and in the land of hot takes and angry nerds, I try really hard to stay positive for this industry, and I love this industry, and I love comics with all my heart. And so it's not hard to stay positive, but it's easy to get those hate clicks and those, to get people mad with you. And it's a little bit trickier to get people excited with you. And so I just really appreciated that book on a whole different personal level because of that. And I was able to connect with it in so many ways. And I just commend you for every narrative, stylistic, and art choice that you did in those 6 issues. And Zeno the same, man. Like you guys, you and Chris nailed that. I wanted like a whole issue of that. Like that anthology is cool, and seeing all the other shorts was amazing. But like when I got to yours, and I wanted like more. I wanted more of that, like more of this like nefarious video game company, this like Black Mirror-esque story kind of thing. Like it's just like, but that's good, right? You leave us wanting more. That's part of the tricks, right? You keep us wanting more, and then we come back when it's there. Anyways, long story short, you're just so talented, you're so charming, you're so nice, and I wish absolutely nothing for but the best for you. And so just keep being you, bud, because you're on the right track. And real quick, where you mentioned the website. What was the website again? The Radical Realm Comics.
That's it. Radical Realm Comics. Nice. The name comes from Ron Radical. It's been there for a while. It was Ron Radical was another character that just waited for his time to come out into the spotlight. So another fun thing.
Nice. Now, where's the best place to follow you online to keep track of you and your future endeavors?
Well, I guess social media is like all over the place anymore, but I'm pretty much anywhere. Like Nick Cagnetti on, I'm NCags on Twitter, if it's still called that anymore. I'm Fudgy One Nick on Instagram and TikTok. I'm probably most active like on Instagram, just posting pictures of art as often as I can. Had the name Fudgy One Nick since like high school, and I vow to keep it.
You got to stick to your roots, baby. Whatever works. Well, Nick, so yeah, everybody needs go follow Nick. Like his Instagram is beautiful. Like if you just go to his Instagram page, like your phone ignites in a wealth of color and amazingness. So like I can't recommend his Instagram enough. Check out his website. Keep an eye on that. He might be uploading some of those 20 pages of fun coloring books that look to be very hot ticket item, possibly. Are those the shirts?
Yeah, I got a few of those. I'll probably be putting some up soon too. Any of the ones I still have.
Nice. Look at that great cast of characters. So yeah, follow Nick, keep track of it. Get Pink Lemonade Volume 1. Get Zeno #1. Get #2. It's a great book. It's even the stuff that Nick doesn't do. Like there's great stuff there to be had. Oni's doing some cool stuff. Like, and I'm happy for him. And it's very, very cool to see them coming out with some fresh, invigorating new titles with some really, really powerhouse creatives. And yeah, man, anytime, man, if you ever want to come back on the show, let me know when you get ready to like announce the new book. If you need a hype man, I'm here for you, bud. Would love to have you back. Anything else you want to talk about or say, or to the people, to the world, or anything?
I mean, just appreciate everybody watching. Thank you for having me. I mean, it means a lot just hearing all the work is connected with you like that. I mean, it means a lot. I appreciate it.
Man, anytime, dude. It's totally from the heart, as I'm sure you can you can agree to, because I feel like a lot of pink lemonade is straight from like your bone marrow and guts, like right onto the page. It felt like that was one of the reasons why I think it's so good. But anyways, yeah, everybody, thank you for tuning in. I really did miss all you guys. There was a weird week not doing live streams. I will be back on Wednesday with Stephen Prince talking about Monster Matador. So make sure you tune in on Wednesday and hang out with us. It'd be great to have you back. Like I said, follow Nick, buy his books, buy anything he puts online. Give this dude money so he can just keep making comics. That's the goal. That's what we need, and that's what we need to make happen. Always remember, love more, hate less, read comics. That's our deal. We live by it. It's not just a slogan, it's a way of life. And that's what we try and do here on Blake's Buzz. Nick, thank you so much for spending some of your evening with me. It was so great. And man, I cannot say how excited I am for any future comic book you put out. Like, I'll wait in line for it. I'll treat it like it's a new iPhone or something, man. I'll bust out a tent and sleep outside of a comic book shop for it, whatever I got to do.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. No problem, man. Well, everybody, good night, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
It's Blake's Buzz Live.